Oi, oi, hello and welcome to another GG.CO.UK trends video, again kindly sponsored by Boyle Sports. This time we're looking forward to Warwick's Classic Chase coming up this Saturday, the 11th of January, and fingers crossed the weather stays at bay because we've had quite a few cancellations recently. I've had a look at the weather. I think Thursday there could be some cold climate in the area, maybe even a small chance of snow, but I think this track will get the go-ahead for Saturday, so let's crack on. As per usual, there will be a link in the description for the actual written trends article. I feel like relatively in depth, but I go relatively in depth with age, course form, chase form, betting angles as well to do with price, a little bit to do with official ratings as well. But basically I cover quite a few different areas to give you guys an idea of what's happened this century and in the last decade, and maybe if there's any pointers as to which type of profile horse may fit the bill to win this race. Now, I'll do the trends articles for handicaps, do them for big graded races too. I feel like Banbridge would have been one of the sort of made it for a shortlist for a King George, but Gemarand, when we did the December Gold Cup trends for Cheltenham, was one that came out on top. We even had a big price place horse in there too. So I do get that they're not for everyone, but there is sometimes some value to be had in looking at these. Now look, everything is treated on a case by case basis and a race by race basis. It may just be, I do like a horse in here, it may just be that there's a horse that is just too good and it will defy some trends, which I'll allude to as we go on because there's something to do with price related that you might think that's a bit too niche, Dave. Let's ignore it. So what I'm going to do is I'll quickly run through some of the key trends, talk about anything that I think maybe needs a bit more quantifying than maybe is just in the article, but you can click a link in the description, find that in there, grab me on Twitter if you want to ask me any questions about anything that's in there. But sort of the standout trends that come from what I found out is no better than fourth in the betting. So basically, top three in the market don't have a very good record, but if you bet fourth in the market outwards, it has been profitable to do so, especially if you're doing it in the bracket of 17-2 to 20-1. So 8.5 to 1 to 20 to 1 shots, 40% return on investment this century, I believe, and 28.5% return on investment in the last decade. So look, not saying to do that, and obviously we need to wait for SPs on those, but there is something in there saying that quite a few well-fancied horses can potentially get beat in this race. That's the part I'm alluding to, the fact that I liked one. But this isn't about what I like, this is about the trends, right? Trend 2 is rated between 133 to 140, so inclusive of those figures too. You could stretch it a little bit further down to 132 to improve the numbers, but it makes the return on investment a little bit lower. They've got good place records as well, horses rated between that bracket. Now look, the most runners in the race sort of fall in line with that. So where the percentages come in there, I've written about it in here that the percentage of placed horses come in as well. Percentage of runners falls into a bigger bracket there, but it is a profitable little band to go in. But of course, not the be all and end all, is it? But it is important to look at, I think. Has won between 1 and 3 times over fences. Now, there has been horses that have come in here that haven't won a race over fences, and there have been horses that have won up to 8 times over fences in here as well. But the bulk of horses have between 1 to 3 wins over fences. Number of runs has been sort of kind of 50-50 between under and over 10, but the benchmark of the number of wins has been pretty consistent across them, which is why I think it's a relevant one to put as a top line trend. Has failed to complete under rules at some point in their career. Now, this may sound a little bit balmy, right? But a good percentage of winners of this race had either pulled up, fallen, unseated, etc., in a race under rules before now. Even more niche, right? The 4 winners that have come from the Welsh National to win this, I Will Do It won the race and then came and won this. So won the Welsh National, then came here. The other 3 all failed to complete in a Welsh National. So again, take that as you want, but these stamina sapping type races, of course, there's no shame in not completing in a race. And potentially, you might want a good jumper because they've got 22 fences to jump in this race at Warwick on Saturday. But there, you can fall, you can unseat. It happens a lot with these stay and chases. Of course, the more fences you jump in, I guess the more chance there is you're going to fall. Last ran between 31 and 60 days ago. Now, this has been profitable to back within that window on its own. Really, there's been horses that have run sort of in the last 7 days. They're a profitable strike rate. Horses that have run with over a year off the track, that has been profitable in those small little niche bits. But in the bulk, you want to have had a horse that's run in the last 66 days. But the real big window is between 31 and 60, so we're going to give people a point for that. It's priced between 17-2 and 20-1. I touched on that one already because it's a real good return on investment. We have got prices up at the moment. It's a tricky one to do because it is to do with SP, so we've sort of left them out for now, but you can use them for bonus points if you will. And then another trend, which again I think is probably maybe more for bonus points, but is trained by Alan King, Emma Lavelle or Paul Nicholls because they've each had 3 winners this century. So look, there is some depth to go into. You can read that in the article, as I say, but we'll just crack on with what I found from the trends from the 16 horses that have been entered. Now, of those trends that are in there, we're going to look for four bulk ones, because the fifth one is the fourth in the betting or bigger, which we can use, but the four are enough to whittle this field down quite significantly. So we've got one horse that ticks every box of those four, typically rated between 133 to 140, has 1 to 3 wins over fences, has failed to complete a race under rules, so pulled up, fell, unseated rider, etc., etc., and then preference to those that have run between 31 and 60 days ago. And again, we can add the bonus ones in there, being rated 4 for higher in the betting, Emma Lavelle, Paul Nicholls, Alan King if you want, and then potentially that 17-2 to 20-1 bracket if you want to add it in thereafter. But for the purpose of doing this, not necessarily quickly, but I think this whittles down the field enough for us to have a first glance at anyway. There's 3 horses that tick 3 out of 4, and there's 1 horse that ticks 4 out of 4. The horse that ticks 4 out of 4 is Mr. Van Gogh. And where I talked about the betting type of thing, and horse that's probably got a good chance, bad, heavy, boggy ground it's going to be, isn't it? Was going for a Welsh National, was favourite for that race, wasn't quite ready for it, but clearly must be ready for this now. He's a 3-1 favourite, and I've said that favourites have got a bad record in here. So, again, you can prove anything with facts, but Mr. Van Gogh's 4 out of 4. The ones that are 3 out of 4 is Apple Away, Collector's Item, and then Major Dundee. Now, Major Dundee is trained by Alan King, so you could add a potential bonus point in there. Major Dundee is far enough down the ranks to say that he'll be in the 17-2 to 20-1 price bracket. He's 10-1 at the moment, 12-1 in some places. Yet to be priced up by Ball Sports at the time of recording, but you can check out their site to find what they are. But yes, you could potentially boost those ones in there as well. Apple Away, I think, is sort of 8-1. So again, at the moment, is on the frank of being the 4th in the betting. So he could be there, might get supported and might not be. Collector's Item, again, on the cusp, 10-1, 8-1-ish, could be falling his way up or down to get bonus points in there, but of course wouldn't have the trainer one. And then, yeah, we've done Major Dundee because it's got the Alan King potential bonus point in there. So look, they would be the 4 horses of the trends quick checklist that I would say, like, they do boost away in there. Now, where you'd see it as a negative for Mr. Van Gogh potentially being priced as favourite, like, it's almost a rude thing to say, isn't it? That a horse that's got the most likely chance in a race because it is favourite is a negative. Like, it doesn't always work out like that, but the trends would potentially suggest you want to stay away from those. Then we obviously, for the other ones, to add the bonus point on for those, which would bring them up to the same level as Mr. Van Gogh. Well, we're waiting for price on a few of them. And like I say, Major Dundee will be the one that goes up there. So I guess if there was 2 you wanted off a short list, the way that I've looked at the trends, I'd say Mr. Van Gogh for sure, and I'd say Major Dundee as well. But of course, you can go into the stats that I've done in there and you can read them and view them how you want. You may say that, actually, I think this is more relevant than that. But of course, I've done the hard work in theory to get us somewhere in there. Of course, there is no replacement for form study, but this definitely does help. And it can sometimes help with price and market movers too. The ones we talked about, again, go back to the December Gold Cup. Gemarand was a massive box ticker and was a big price that got backed into 5-1. Now, of course, market confidence helps in certain instances. In here, if there's a market weakness and it pushes about to 4th, well, who knows? That may mean that the horse ticks another trend box in there. But this might give you a feeler for where horses might sit and be. And then it may be that there's a short-priced horse that's sort of not ticking any boxes. So Manila Blue Wave, for example, hasn't ticked any of the single trends that are in here, but of course will now come into the price aspects of it. Maybe that horse is a bit of a drifter and you start to question why. This might answer it. Of course, it could be irrelevant. It could be to do with form, etc. But we like to pull these out there, and I think you guys like them too. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you give the link in the collection, the link in the description a click. It's easy for you to say. And we'll be back again. Next week's not a trends one. Next week's an absolute bang. We've got something different coming in there. I think that'll be quite enjoyable. But yeah, be back with the weekend watch. Hopefully be back with some racing this weekend. Thank you for your guys' support. Be lucky.